Hey, how you doing, guys? For this topic, I'm going to talk about Qualcomm has just come out with a new processor, an ARM processor called the Centriq 2400. Going to give you some specs on this. It's a 64-bit with up to 48 cores. Of course, typically when we think of ARM processors, we think of cell phones, tablets, even some of the older netbooks that used to use ARM processors like the Atom, Intel's Atom. Now, people also been wondering perhaps even if Apple's going to use its A series processors in notebooks, laptops, and desktops, which something I don't ever see them doing unless ARM processors get as powerful as some of the Intel and AMD offerings. So some of the best uses I think for this type of processor is going to be servers. So we're going to kind of compare the two between the desktop and server use for both processors. Now, typically when we use high multiple cores such as the Qualcomm, for some applications, they will take a single application and they'll parallelize it, and then once it's finished, they'll bring it down to one file, such as video rendering, 3D applications, and so on. But unfortunately, when doing this, you'll eventually run into what is called Amdahl's law, which is once you get past a certain amount of cores, you're going to get a much less rate of return. So once you get past even 48, for every core that you add, you're going to get less and less. In fact, probably less than 5% rate of return for the cost of even the processor itself. So I think the best use for this ARM processor is going to be servers, which typically take dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of individual requests for things like databases, internet web page, search engines, and so on. And so you're not going to run into this because you're not paralleling it down to one single output. Also, a big advantage as well is low power requirements for ARM processors. Typically, a server room is going to be dedicated, depending on the size. I'd say medium to large sizes are going to have their own dedicated ACs just to cool because of the heat. So with these ARM processors, you're going to probably use much less, or even just a typical building AC unit for cooling, which is great cost savings to companies as well. So give me your thoughts on this, and perhaps some more uses for this Qualcomm processor.